Hi, I'm Chuck Myron,
And I'm his wife, Taryn Myron.
and we're married to Saturdays.
Married to Saturdays. Welcome back.
All right. Well, that was quite a weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Tennessee's playoff hopes ended with the loss to Oklahoma.
Yes.
But Florida State came back with a resounding win against Wake Forest.
They sure did. And we did not see a cheering Chuck, unfortunately, as I had hoped last week. Unfortunately, we saw an upset Chuck with Tennessee's loss. But we saw a cheering Taryn, which we haven't seen in 4 weeks.
Well, look, let's get the bad stuff out of the way first. I want to talk a little bit about Tennessee.
Yes.
And so, look, it was a very difficult weekend. Tennessee's fan base really got angry.
Yes.
I saw a lot of anger.
A lot of fire hypel.
Which is
chance.
patently ridiculous.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous, and there's no question in my mind that Josh Heupel is the right man to lead this team and is one of the best coaches in all of college football.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you have to look at what happened in that game with Oklahoma. So both teams had a 1st and 10 on the opposing team's 24, so just outside of the red zone.
Right.
And both teams fumbled on that play. In the case of Oklahoma, when they fumbled, Tennessee recovered but did not advance the ball. In the case of Tennessee, Oklahoma recovered and took it back to the end zone. And in a 6-point game, that represents the difference. So 2 plays. We talk about how the difference between Ohio State and Texas really came down to 2 plays. Well, the difference between Tennessee and Oklahoma really came down to 2 plays.
2 plays. And
if those 2 plays had gone differently, you would have a much different narrative for Tennessee as, a team knocking on the door, as Oklahoma is in the rankings, of playoffs.
Correct.
And so, to say we want to jump the program over what happened on 2 plays, by the way, that were just complete chaos plays.
Yes.
What happens after a fumble is there's almost no way to prepare for it. And you can't, you don't recruit tight ends because you think they can tackle.
Right.
Miles Kitselman couldn't get the Oklahoma defender down.
Right.
And that was the difference in the game for Tennessee. It wasn't even the missed field goal people are really getting on Max Gilbert for. Obviously, look, it's been tough. Max Gilbert has missed 2 huge field goals, but he's also the most accurate kicker in the history of Tennessee football.
Right. And guess what? Kickers are going to miss field goals. This is a normal thing. This is human. It happens.
So, look.
Name me a perfect field goal kicker.
There are none.
Exactly.
So, here, and we think about how close that Georgia loss was as well. So, if, you have really 3 plays, you would have a 1-loss Tennessee team. And then you think about that pick 6 against Alabama, 4 plays. Tennessee really is in so many ways 4 plays from being unbeaten. Think about that. Tennessee is 4 plays from being unbeaten. They're not getting manhandled in these games. They're not getting blown out. They are competing with the best teams in the SEC week in and week out. Yeah, they play down to their competition when they're playing the dregs of the league too, but they've won those games. And I think that's what's confusing about this team is how they've looked against the Mississippi States and Kentuckys and the Arkansas of the world. But really, they're 4 plays away from beating Alabama, Georgia, and Oklahoma. It didn't happen, but they're that close. And so I think, look, Tennessee is in a great spot. This was supposed to be a transition year anyway.
Right.
This wasn't supposed to be a great year. So
they thought maybe a 6-6 or a 7-5 year, I believe, at the beginning of the season.
The fact that maybe not that poor.
I said they, not you thought.
Well, I think 8-4, 9-3 was about as good as you could expect from this team. Maybe 10-2 if you get the breaks. Tennessee hasn't gotten the breaks.
Right.
So, still in position,
Mhm.
Tennessee is to go 9-3, to with two big games at the end of the season
Yes.
at Florida and at home to Vanderbilt,
Mhm.
still to go. If they can win those games, create some momentum, go to a very good bowl game in that instance,
Mhm.
and win that, then Tennessee is in great position when you've got a really good recruiting class coming in
Right.
for 2026. So Tennessee's in great shape. It's disappointing that the Oklahoma game did not go our way, but look, Tennessee is where they need to be right now, and this is there is no reason not to be optimistic about the future of the Tennessee program.
And I agree with you. And like you said, Josh Heupel, he is the man for this program. He's also the best coach that Tennessee has had in many years. But number-wise, how many years has this been since?
Since Fulmer's heyday,
Yes.
Fulmer was there for a long time. Had different eras in which he had different levels
Yes.
of success, but you'd have to say in at least 25 years,
Mhm.
this is as good a shape as the Tennessee program has been in.
Right.
So you think about that. You want to get it in better shape. You want
Of
to get where
course.
the Alabamas and Georgias are. Well, look, Heupel has beaten Alabama twice.
Yes.
He has knocked on the door, beaten Georgia, and this is a program that is on the rise.
Yes.
It's in great position. So, look, time will tell, but they've got Heupel. Aguilar has been a tremendous find in his ability to step in to this program and perform as well as he has.
What an asset.
So
Yes.
well
Yes.
to this program. Look, there are things that can be cleaned up defensively. I think that's the side of the ball that Tennessee has the most, it should be most concerned about and has the most work to do on. But, look, there's still season left.
Yes.
There are still things that Tennessee can accomplish as we look ahead to 2026 and put itself in that conversation as an upper tier SEC school. So that's the mission right now. And hopefully Heupel can get the players, kind of insulate them from the negativity around the program, and keep them focused on what they can accomplish.
Right. And they have a bye week coming up, so they'll have some time to clean it up before the last few games that you have left on your schedule.
That's right.
So, well, let's talk about Florida State.
Yes.
They had a big win, 42-7 over Wake Forest. Wow. Where has this team been? Haven't seen them since Kent State. But we had a lot of injured players. They've come back. Tommy Castellanos finally looks like the Tommy Castellanos we've seen the first three games of the season. So hopefully that's a positive thing, and that hopefully means the program and the season is going back up, hopefully. I mean, now we've doubled our win total from last season, so that's always a plus. Norvell saved his job for another week, I will say. We got our first ACC conference win in, I believe, 406 days. That's a lot. So let's never do that again. But yeah, I was really pleased with Florida State. But again, they're kind of like Texas, just not as good as Texas, but they're incredibly inconsistent. Nobody can beat Alabama this year except for Florida State, and then lose 4 straight games. They're confusing.
That's confusing, yes. Inconsistent, though.
Yes.
And I've said it on this podcast before. In college football, if you're inconsistent, you're failing.
Yes.
Because in order to compete at the highest level, you have to be consistent week in and week out. You have to be consistently successful.
Right.
Florida State isn't. They show great great potential and great promise, but they look bad.
Yes, they do.
in these losses,
and especially the teams they shouldn't be losing to, like Stanford and Pitt.
Right. It's one thing to maybe play down to the level of your competition like Tennessee has. It's another to lose those games.
Right.
And Florida State has lost those games.
Yes.
So, it's a confounding team. It's inconsistent, but, look, just like Tennessee has an opportunity to finish strong, build some momentum, Florida State has that opportunity as well.
Absolutely. We still have the potential to meet what I was hoping we would get, which is 6-6, and go to a bowl game for the first time in 2 years. So all the potential is still there for us to make a nice finish and go to the postseason.
Well, and go bowling.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and maybe, maybe we'll see you down the road. You just don't know.
You never know. Wouldn't that be fun?
All right. Well, so let's take a look at the at how the playoff rankings are shaping up. So
yes.
Yeah, because I know we're going to kind of pivot back to talking about Tennessee a little bit just as we get into those.
Yes, and like many of you, we were watching the college football playoff ranking show on Tuesday night, and so we have a lot to talk about with these rankings. So we're going to start with number 25, and that of course is Tennessee. Now, keep in mind, they are the only 3-loss team in the rankings. But Chuck, what do you think about Tennessee? And I'm gonna ask you the other 24 teams. Do you think they're overrated, properly rated, underrated? So let's hear your thoughts a little more about Tennessee and their ranking.
Well, look, it's a measure of tremendous respect for Tennessee. To be the only 3-loss team.
That's right.
In the top 25, there are a lot of 3-loss teams out there, and the committee here is looking not at the teams that Tennessee has beaten, because you have an FCS opponent, a Group of 5 opponent that's not particularly good.
Mm-hmm.
You have Syracuse, and then you have Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Kentucky. That is not a top 25 resume by any means.
No.
But like I said, they're looking at the fact that they were 4 plays away. Tennessee's 4 plays away from being unbeaten, from beating Alabama, from beating Georgia, and from beating Oklahoma. That's what it comes down to. For chaotic plays, for really regrettable plays, but 4 plays,
mm-hmm.
and those teams, that sometimes it's about the way you lose, who you lose to, what you show in those losses. The wins and losses are not black and white.
Right.
There's a lot of gray in there, and I think that's reflected in Tennessee's ranking here. So I would say they're properly rated.
And I agree with you. I agree that the committee showed a lot of respect to Tennessee this week. And keep this in mind. They took a 3-loss SEC team over any of the Group of 5 teams. There are no Group of 5 teams that are ranked. Memphis is the highest of all of them. So they took a 3-loss Tennessee team and put them higher than a 1-loss Group of 5 team in Memphis. So let's just kind of remember that going forward.
Well, but I think that I don't think you could say that there's a Group of 5 team. The Group of 5 teams this year are mediocre.
Yes.
There are no Boise States or Tulanes of years past. These are just very blah teams. So
we thought it was South Florida, but that didn't happen.
Tennessee is better than all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They should be ranked in place of all of them. And to me, it's not those Group of 5 teams. That it's the other 3-loss teams from the Power 4 conferences. Tennessee's been judged as the best of them.
Yes.
So I think that again, that's a lot to build on right there.
Yes, I agree with you. All right, number 24, we're going to go to the ACC. We talked about them a little bit earlier. Florida State lost to them earlier this season. We have Pitt.
You Pitt, another confounding team,
yes.
Capable of beating anybody and just losing to just about anybody
yes.
too, or beating just about anybody.
Yes.
I don't know if they could really compete with the playoff teams. Look, I think they belong there at 24. We're going to hear some, I think, a string of ACC teams
mm-hmm.
here, and Pitt's probably at the back of them. So I think they're properly rated.
I agree with you. All right, at number 23, we're back to the Big Ten, or we'll start with the Big Ten. Washington.
Washington is a team that I think does not get it. I think they're a little underrated. I don't think they get the kind of respect that they could. They played Ohio State reasonably well.
Mm-hmm.
They looked good in their loss.
Mm-hmm.
Now obviously
but remember the loss to Michigan.
Right.
Certainly plays into that.
Well, but we'll hear Michigan's name here above Washington, as it should be. But I think I don't think Washington is a top 15 team by
No,
any means,
no.
but I think they're a little bit better than number 23.
Okay, interesting. I kind of think they're properly rated, but let's keep going up the list here.
Okay.
Number 22, we have another SEC team in Missouri.
Missouri, this is a team that took an unbeaten record pretty deep into the season.
Mm-hmm.
Lost to Vanderbilt, I think they lost to Alabama
Correct,
as well,
correct.
and so it obviously, I think as a two-loss team, you have to put them in front of Tennessee. But I'm curious to see, how that's going to play out as the season goes on. If Missouri stays as a two-loss team, well, it gets interesting, doesn't it?
Yes.
I'm not sure they're truly in that playoff contending class. So for right now, I'd say they're properly rated, but I don't know if they're going to move much higher.
I agree with you. I think they're properly rated as of today. They've got some really big games coming up, including one we'll talk about this weekend. And I probably think they're going to lose, so they're going to be out of that top 25 really soon, in my opinion. Sorry, Missouri fans. This is what I think.
No, but an opportunity, though.
Yes. To prove us all wrong, that's for sure. Number 21, we talked about this team earlier, Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan is another team that is a little confusing. They lost. They were handled pretty well by Oklahoma.
Yes, they were.
In the season.
Lost to USC, I believe.
And you also
yes.
lost to USC. So, I think they're properly rated right here.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they are above Washington, who they beat.
Yes.
Below USC, who they lost to. Mm-hmm. Below Oklahoma, who they lost to. So, this is exactly where they should be.
Right, and don't forget, we keep talking about it every week on the podcast. Michigan has that chance at the end of the regular season to make a huge statement when they play Ohio State.
Well, I think this is really interesting. So, they're sitting where they're sitting is number 20.
Yes.
So, are they capable? 21. Which every spot matters when we think about getting to the end of the season and getting into playoffs. They likely have to get in the top 10.
Right.
Because there could be not only the group of 5 champion leapfrogging the top 12 teams, but also an ACC or Big 12 champion as well. Because
could be ranked lower than 12.
Right. Right now, the highest ranked ACC team is ranked lower than 12.
Correct.
So,
but we'll get to that shortly.
But think about it. Michigan, they run the table and beat Ohio State. They have a knack for it.
Yes, they do. Even in years that they're not doing that well, like last year.
Can they get there into the playoffs? Is that a playoff team if they do that? Are they going to be able to leapfrog enough teams?
I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out.
I think that's very interesting.
It's a great question. I think it depends on how these other Big Ten teams do the rest of the season. And we will find out. And we're going to stay in the Big Ten at number 20. This team actually is better than I thought they were, and Iowa.
Iowa is another very interesting Big Ten team. And here they have an opportunity because they've got Oregon.
Yes,
at home.
This weekend.
Iowa's it's traditionally been a very tough team at home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no different this year. So, if Iowa can pull off that kind of upset against Oregon, can Iowa vault itself if it runs the table to get get a 4th bid for the Big Ten?
Right.
We'll see. But I think I think it's really interesting to see Iowa ranked ahead of Michigan right now. I think that could play a factor as we get deeper into the season.
So I think they're properly rated. What about you?
I think they're I think they're properly rated as well, and I actually think they have a tremendous opportunity against Oregon this weekend.
Yes. I actually have Oregon on a slight upset alert.
I do too. But obviously with every ample opportunity to prove us wrong, but that's a tough place to play.
Yes.
And going across 2 time zones to do it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And remember, this is the only team that has played Indiana close all year.
That's right.
So let's kind of think about that. Let's keep that in the back of our minds. All right, we're going to go up in number 19. We're going to stay in the Big Ten with USC.
Yeah. look at this run of Big Ten schools. Why not Iowa above USC? I would actually flip-flop those two.
Okay.
So I would say maybe Iowa a little underrated,
Okay.
USC a little overrated. They have not played, so
Right.
USC with the loss to they've got a pretty good loss to Notre Dame.
Right.
But and with a win over Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would flip flop the two just because of how impressive Iowa looked in its loss to Indiana, and I think there's just a little bit more potential there with Iowa.
Right, and it's kind of like Tennessee. You show Iowa the respect.
Right.
In their losses. All right, let's go climbing up. Number 18. This was a surprise to me. Miami.
Miami got punished. The ACC got punished. We'll
Yes.
talk a little bit more about that later. But they, look, and this might be a little bit of the cumulative effect of what Mario Cristobal has done in November
Yes.
over the years. And it's a team that it seems to be on the decline.
Yes.
That is not playing its best football. Seems to be getting worse.
Yes.
And so when that happens, you're going to get punished. But even though they have that win over Notre Dame.
Yes,
too.
they do. They've got some great wins as well.
Interesting to see them, ranked right there above USC.
Yes.
Because they have that win over Notre Dame, but Notre Dame beat USC. So, I think Miami is properly rated.
I think they're probably properly rated as of today. And like you said, and you said this on previous podcasts, Miami gets bored. And we've seen that these last few weeks. They get bored. So
and you can't do it,
And this is why Miami has never been to an ACC championship the entire time they've been in the ACC. This is one of the reasons why.
I think you have to think about what's the disconnect there?
Mm-hmm.
Why is Cristobal having this program look as good as it does early in the season, but faltering late? Are they just getting tired? Are they practicing too hard? Is it because of the heat and the humidity that you've got?
Right.
And does it drain you? Is it hubris? Is it the Miami swagger where you just think you can roll over anybody?
Yes.
I think you got to drill down and wonder, is there a psychological problem with that team and with that program?
That's a great question. I think that we can examine the off season when we see how Miami plays out the rest of the season.
It'll be interesting to see how do they respond now.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to stay in the ACC at number 17 with Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech got punished. I think they're underrated.
I absolutely think they're underrated. Look, the committee chair came out and said that one of the reasons that Georgia Tech was knocked down as much as they were is because they were dominated on both sides of the ball. And that's just not true. They were outgained by 24 yards. Georgia Tech had almost 600 yards. They had 550 something of total offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's not getting dominated on both sides of the ball.
No.
Yeah, they gave up a little bit more than 550. It was 508, but 24 more yards.
Sure.
Is not getting dominated.
Exactly.
Okay? This is so. That was a foot in mouth situation for the committee chair, and ultimately, I think the ACC has something of a perception problem, and I think Georgia Tech, if you did the blind resume check, and if this were Clemson or Miami and not Georgia Tech, would they have been knocked down to 17?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Probably not.
So look, was it a bad loss to NC State?
Sure.
You bet. But was it enough to take Georgia Tech down to 17?
No.
They are an underrated team.
Well, we know all about, in this household, about the College Football Playoff Committee penalizing the ACC. We sure know all about that.
There's a long history there.
Yes. So this isn't the first time. Hopefully it won't be the last. Or hopefully
it will
be the last time. So Georgia Tech, you've got to show out, and you've just got to win the rest of your games.
Which, hey, they still got Georgia.
Yes.
So that's an opportunity there.
Huge opportunity for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, but now you look at that and say if they don't get it done against Georgia Tech, even if they lose against Georgia, even if they lose a close game, I don't know if the committee's going to take them.
I agree. Well, they have an easy game this week coming up, but it only gets harder.
Who do they have?
Boston College this week.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, let's go up to 16. We're going to go to the SEC for a moment, and that's Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt,
Tough loss.
Yeah, another team that got punished a little bit, but look, Texas is
also an inconsistent team.
Yeah, also an inconsistent team, and they were blown out.
Yeah,
that is a team that did get dominated.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it really interesting that Vanderbilt is sitting where they are with 2 losses, and Georgia Tech is sitting where they are with 1. And look, one of them got blown out, and one of them did.
Right.
That's mystifying to me.
Yes.
Vanderbilt is overrated.
I agree. All right, number 15. We're going to go back to the ACC and Louisville.
Louisville. Well, here we go again.
One loss.
Is Louisville a better team than Georgia Tech?
I don't think so.
The committee seems to think so.
I don't think so.
Well, but Louisville may be properly rated where they are. I think they are.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit underrated.
The Miami now is their best win, and now that we're looking at Miami, how good really is that win?
Right. I think it's again it's that lack of resume building wins that is holding really all of the ACC back.
I agree. All right, let's stay in the ACC. Number 14. We kind of alluded to this. This is the highest ranked team in the ACC right now at 14, which is Virginia.
Yeah, same story.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of resume building wins. Interesting that Virginia, they lost to NC State too.
Yes.
So, it's really interesting. They both have played roughly equivalent schedules. Mm-hmm. They both have the same loss. Why is Virginia ranked that much higher than Georgia Tech? Well, there's some sort of, there is a recency bias in there.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't want to lose late.
No.
If you're going to lose early. Ask Notre Dame
and Alabama.
Right. Exactly.
Still hanging my hat on that Alabama win. I will do that all season long. Okay, so number 13, we're going to go to the Big 12 with Utah.
By the way, I think Virginia's properly rated.
Oh, yes, I do too.
Utah, what are they doing up there with 2 losses?
That's incredibly high for Utah.
That is, no. Look,
overrated.
Nice win against Cincinnati, but it was at home in Utah. 2 losses, too high.
Go down.
They are overrated.
Go down. Maybe we should switch them with Georgia Tech.
Maybe.
Just a thought. Okay, number 12. We don't want to talk about this team too much because we saw them too much last Saturday, but it's Oklahoma.
Oklahoma is right where they should be. That's a properly rated team.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously with a great shot to go to the playoffs.
Yes.
They've got Alabama still to come. I think they're on the outside looking in.
Yes.
But if they're going to go to the, if they run the table, which they're going to have to do to get to the playoffs,
right,
then they're going to pick up a win over Alabama. They're going to be ranked in that top 10. So I wouldn't worry about sitting at just outside the playoffs right now if I'm Oklahoma. I would say, look, we went to Knoxville, incredibly tough place to play, came away with the win, and now you just got to focus on beating Alabama. That's really, in many ways, the season.
Right.
You have to win them all, but that's the big one for Oklahoma now.
And if they can beat Alabama, then it just puts these rankings in just chaos mode.
Well,
all right. It can happen, though.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about a team that did beat Oklahoma at number 11, which is Texas.
Oklahoma beat them last year. So, yeah.
Yes.
Texas, obviously right there.
And I see why they're ranked ahead of Oklahoma.
Right. Head to head. The same number of losses, head to head. They came off a nice looking win against Vanderbilt.
Yes.
Texas, just don't know what we're going to get from Texas week to week.
Yeah, I agree.
So
every week is a surprise with Texas.
They've got Texas A&M coming up.
Yes.
That profiles at the end of the season like quite the showdown. But
yes,
is Texas going to stub its toe between then and now?
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. Yeah, we just don't know with Texas.
That's right. All right, so let's get into the top 10 now. Number 10 is 2-loss Notre Dame.
Well, this is again testament. We talked about a little bit earlier of that recency bias.
Yes.
If you win at the end of the year, I mean, if you lose at the end of the year, that's much worse than losing at the beginning of the year.
Right.
And now look, they've got the win over USC. I think Notre Dame's issue is that's probably going to be their best win at the end of the year. They don't have any other opportunities. They don't have a conference championship game. If some of these, I think that Notre Dame, more so than like Oklahoma and Texas, should feel a little nervous right now about where they're sitting. They're right on the cut line, so they would be in the playoffs if they started today at number 10.
Yes.
But look, if Oklahoma beats Alabama, for instance, if Texas beats Texas A&M, and you have these multiple,
maybe Georgia Tech beats Georgia.
Georgia Tech beats Georgia, you could see teams leapfrog Notre Dame.
Exactly.
And so I think it creates a little bit of a problem for Notre Dame because they don't have that great looking resume that is actually again made worse than Miami.
Yes,
loss.
Exactly.
Doesn't
that
look
really hurts
great.
now.
Doesn't look great. I mean, Texas A&M, that continues to look great. But again, what if Texas beats Texas A&M at the end of the year?
Throws everything into chaos.
Right. So Notre Dame is the team I think that should be a little worried on that cut line.
I think they're also slightly overrated. What do you think?
I do too. I
mean, don't get me wrong, they're playing well.
Slightly, but it's the lack of a big win that if you're going to be a top 10 team,
you need to have a big marquee win.
You do,
which some of the other teams we're going to talk about don't as well. But we'll talk about that shortly. For example, number 9 we have Oregon. Who have they beat?
Well,
because Penn State's a bad team.
That's the thing, and that's why you see them at 9, as opposed to 6, where they've been in the poll.
Right.
And interesting that we see the committee punish Oregon for something that's not really punishing Notre Dame for.
Correct. So, what do you think about Oregon's ranking?
I think I think they have an opportunity to make a statement at Iowa.
Absolutely.
That if Oregon wins at Iowa, however they win, I don't think that can be dismissed. I think that's a big win. So right now, I think Oregon is actually a little underrated.
Ooh.
But just based on what I think they'll do, I think they're actually properly rated based on their resume and maybe even a little overrated. So I was all over the map there.
Yes.
Oregon, I think if you think about resume, I think they're overrated. I don't think they will be next week.
Okay.
But I think they're overrated.
I think as of today, they're properly rated. But again, Saturday is going to tell us for sure as far as how good Oregon really is. All right. Number 8, we have 1-loss Texas Tech. They've got a huge game this weekend.
Yeah, they do. And I'll just take because who's it? It's with number 7 BYU.
You might as well talk about them both.
Let's talk about 7 and 8 here.
College game day is coming Saturday in Lubbock.
Right. Texas Tech has feasted on Big 12 teams. BYU has feasted on Big 12 teams. The Big 12 is not an especially strong conference.
No.
But again, we have asked the Big 12 teams to distinguish themselves. Can you distinguish yourself? Well, here we have an opportunity. One of these teams, and especially if it's BYU, frankly.
Yes.
BYU is unbeaten. Texas Tech has 1 loss. So that means to me, BYU has the opportunity to be the team
to really vault themselves.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think BYU is properly rated. I think Texas Tech is overrated.
I agree.
But they have a chance to prove me wrong.
Now, I think if Texas Tech loses this game, they're out of the playoffs. They're done.
Absolutely.
Done.
No.
You will not get a 2-loss Big 12 or ACC team in the playoffs this year for any reason.
Well, Georgia Tech, if it's a close loss to Georgia, we were talking about that. I don't think it'll happen, even if it's a close loss to Georgia.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Something to think about.
I don't think so. All right, let's go to number 6. We have Mississippi Ole Miss.
Yeah. Well, look, I actually think they're a little. Because they do have the loss to Georgia.
I think they're properly rated.
I think they're properly rated too. But it'll be interesting to see. If they pick up another loss,
mm-hmm.
where do they stand?
Right.
Do they have to run the table? There could be a lot more 2-loss teams. Mm-hmm. Than playoff slots available in the SEC. So, they're properly rated.
As of today.
Yes. But they look good.
Yeah. They played well. They look good.
Yeah. And, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out for them.
Exactly. All right, let's get to the top 5. Number 5, we have Georgia.
Obviously that win over Tennessee took a little bit of a hit.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably that and Mississippi are the 2 wins that Georgia is hanging its hat on right now. The loss to Alabama being the only blemish.
Right.
I think Georgia would be safe at 2 losses.
I think they would.
Yeah.
But I can't say the same about Mississippi.
Right. The only reason I would be a little concerned for Georgia is if that loss comes to Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
I think then you would have a 2-loss Georgia, perhaps going up for that last playoff spot against the 2-loss Georgia Tech team, and Georgia Tech beat them.
Yes.
Really interesting decision for the committee.
Yes.
Because you could also get that Georgia team in the SEC championship because they have 1 conference loss, and what happens if
Alabama or Texas A&M takes a conference loss?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So. Really interesting scenario there, but Georgia properly rated. They're good there at number 5.
I agree with you. So let's get to the top 4 now. Number 4, no surprise, Alabama. They beat Georgia. Again, they have no conference losses, so they're sitting pretty for that SEC title game.
Right. And again, the recency bias comes into play.
Of course.
The loss came early,
mm-hmm.
But
look what they've done since then. They've dominated pretty much everybody.
But it's really interesting that the top 1-loss team has a loss that is a real stinker.
A bad loss. Again, I'm hanging my hat on this all season long as a Florida State fan. It's all I have.
Properly rated, I think, Alabama.
Yeah.
It's because of who their wins are over.
Exactly. They beat Georgia. They beat Tennessee. They beat Vanderbilt. Have they played Vanderbilt?
Yes, they did.
They beat Missouri.
Yeah.
So a lot of great wins for Alabama this year.
Yeah. So, they've compiled, all those wins, and so right now it's eclipsing the stink of that loss.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's get to that top 3. Number 3, we have Texas A&M.
Well, look. I said they were overrated last week.
Are they still?
I don't think so anymore.
Okay.
I think they are where they should be. Do I believe in them? Do I believe they're going to go unbeaten in the SEC? No. Okay. Do I believe they're going to make the playoffs? I'm not 100% convinced.
Okay. I think it depends if they lose, who they lose to, and if they get to the SEC championship game. What happens if they play a Georgia or an Alabama in that game?
Right. I think, but we're running out of time for Texas A&M to play itself out.
Yes.
I look. The more they win, the more
the more respect you have for them.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
That's how that works. So right now, they are where they should be at number 3. I don't think they
Yes.
should be higher.
I agree.
I've heard arguments that say, well, they're unbeaten in the SEC. They ought to be higher. No, but number 3, they're properly rated.
I think in terms of SEC teams, they have a very soft schedule compared to a lot of other SEC teams this year.
Right.
So we'll keep.
Well, it's
something to think about.
Yeah, something to think about. Right, because no Alabama, no Georgia.
Right. Right.
So that's
I think their best one is Notre Dame.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got Texas to come.
Yes.
And if Texas is still sitting there with 2 losses, well, that just it again, that looks like a whale of a game.
Yes, it might throw some chaos. Which, as somebody who's completely out of the rankings, no hope, I'm all for chaos this year.
That's what makes it fun.
That's right. Okay, so number 2. I guess we could talk about maybe number 1 and 2 together. Number 2, we have Indiana. Number 1, we have Ohio State. So let's talk about these teams.
Well, so Ohio State's win against Texas has looked good, and then it's looked mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
Now it looks good again.
Yes.
It's the fortune of Texas.
Yes. And Ohio State has a win over Washington, a ranked Washington team.
They do.
That helps.
They have an opportunity to play Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State's decline hurts Ohio State.
Yes.
It hurts.
I think it hurts the whole Big Ten.
It does. It hurts the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
No Indiana on the schedule, but a conference title game could remedy
Yes.
that. No Oregon on the schedule for Ohio
And honestly,
State.
any of those 3 teams could very well be in the Big Ten championship game. 2 or 1 of those teams.
Right. I think. Look, Indiana's resume is better,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's the old committee eye test here.
Yes.
And it's the respect for the national champion. I think, respect for the national champion is something, even though it's a last year thing, I think it matters.
Mm-hmm.
I think until the champ is beaten, they got to wear that crown. And to me, Ohio State is number 1.
See, I disagree with you. I think Indiana should be number 1 and Ohio State should be number 2. Yes, Ohio State, give you the respect. They are the defending national champions, but I think Indiana's wins are better than Ohio State's wins. Indiana has Penn State this weekend, which of course now means nothing. This was a game we originally had circled, but not anymore. This should be a blowout for Indiana. But Indiana's beat better teams. They've played better. I think they've won by more. They look like a complete team. Not that Ohio State doesn't. But if you did the blind resume, I think you put Indiana at number 1. So I think they should be switched.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to see a Big Ten championship game where we can settle that debate.
Yes, absolutely.
That's thankfully, we live in a college football world now where we get to see these things play out,
right?
As opposed to, well, they're mythical national champions. Glad that era is gone.
Yes.
All right.
Well, that was our college football rankings, top 25. So it's really interesting now. It's November. The college football rankings are out. No more AP. I mean, yes, AP's still out, but everybody concentrates on the committee rankings.
Right.
So it's an exciting time in college football.
It's really interesting because you really have one narrative that is set by the AP voters.
Yes.
And then November comes and you get something completely different.
Exactly.
Completely different set of criteria, completely different process, completely different people involved in ranking the teams.
Mm-hmm. This makes it fun.
I don't know.
I like
it. Makes it fun, but is it fair? Should the committee just be ranking all the way from the beginning? Should the AP's not going to stop ranking?
Right.
They're not going to do it. As much as we say we should get away from those things, the AP is not going to stop that.
Right.
They make too much money off of it. So, what about the committee just saying, "Hey, look, we're the committee. We're the people who are going to take these teams to the playoffs or not. At the end of the day, let's just rank them from the beginning so we can control that narrative. We can set the tone and not have, be dictated to by a completely different process, completely different people, completely different set of criteria.
See, I think where the college football playoff rankings start is actually good. Because at the beginning of the season, we don't know all these teams. We don't know how they're going to do. We've had 10 weeks to see these teams now. So I think it's the perfect time for the college football committee to start ranking, the playoff committee to start ranking.
Well, fact of the matter is they have.
Yes.
So let's take a look at some of these games with between ranked teams or that ranked teams are playing.
Yes.
We talked about this game a little bit. It's at noon. It's on Fox. Indiana and Penn State.
Yes.
Poor Penn State. In addition to just the collapse of the program.
Yes.
They had to play Oregon, Indiana, and Ohio State this year. The
what
three
rough
heavies.
schedule.
Maybe the toughest Big Ten schedule that there is. And so.
And Iowa. Don't forget they had played Iowa.
Oh.
And they lost to Iowa and Iowa.
Everybody's getting fat off Penn State.
Yes.
Indiana, you suspect, will do the same.
Yes.
So that, not too much to say about that.
Right.
Interesting, very interesting possible trap game at noon on ESPN, Georgia at Mississippi State.
I like this game for that reason, possible trap game. You know how well Mississippi State plays at home. If Bulldogs versus the Bulldogs are going to win. The question is which Bulldogs are going to win.
We think the Georgia Bulldogs, but a road game in conference and especially in the SEC is no guarantee.
I have Georgia on a slight upset alert. Slight.
Have to.
Yes.
Have to. We also talked about this game. Don't have to cover too much other than to say it's at noon on ABC, which is interesting for BYU going to Texas Tech.
Yes.
Time zone.
Early game for them.
Yeah, we've just had a time change.
Yes.
So everyone's clock is going to be messed up.
Yes.
BYU on the road at Texas Tech at a 10 a.m. local time start for BYU.
Huge game.
And 11 o'clock local time for Texas Tech.
Right.
So.
Still a morning game.
What a weird set of circumstances.
Go watch some football and have your morning coffee at the same time if you're in Texas.
Ohio State at Purdue. That's 1 o'clock Big Ten Network.
Okay.
Purdue has tripped up Ohio State in the past.
I don't know if that's going to happen this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Ohio State's just too good.
1 o'clock, streaming only, SEC Network Plus, the Citadel at Mississippi.
I don't think Mississippi's going to have a problem here.
Right, and that's what we have to look forward to next year. We're going to get rid of these games in November.
Good.
I mean, they might still schedule a few in November, but they're going to have to play a conference game in
early
September if they're going to do it. So yeah, I think these little breaks
coming to an end.
Yeah, not going to be
that's good.
Quite so frequent.
I don't want to see the Citadel play Mississippi in November.
Who does?
I mean, ever really, but especially not November.
Okay, 3:30, ABC, Texas A&M at Missouri.
This is a huge game, I think. Now, is Missouri the team that could take them down? Maybe. Texas A&M, I've got them on a regular upset alert.
Well, look, we've kind of been waiting all season for Eli Drinkwitz and Missouri to pull off that big upset, and this is quite a spot for them to try and do it.
Yeah.
But hey, again, we talked about on the road in conference, especially in the SEC, it's not a given.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough test.
And also, this team is between players who both have head coaches that are being mentioned for a lot of these open head coaching jobs between Eli Drinkwitz and Mike Elko.
Absolutely. So, how does that affect the focus?
Exactly.
Okay, another situation where a highly ranked team goes on the road, this one with a very tough opponent. Oregon is at Iowa, 3:30 CBS.
This is going to be an amazing game. I'm really excited to watch this. You should definitely tune your TV to that game.
Well, it's at the same time as Texas A&M and Missouri.
Ooh.
You have a preference there. Which one do you think is where do you think the chaos is going to reign the most?
I mean, it could reign in both. I could see potential for both. Like I said, I have Oregon on upset alert as well. So honestly, I think the chaos would be more likely in Oregon, Iowa.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
Oregon's traveling a lot farther as well.
that's right. Crossing time zones
Mm-hmm.
again. So
Iowa's a tough place to play.
it has been, and look, they pushed Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd have to expect them to push Oregon.
Exactly, they're going to be ready for this game.
All right, 3:30 ESPN. Syracuse is at Miami.
I mean, if Miami doesn't beat Syracuse, they're just done for the year. Let's just write Miami off.
Well, look, opportunity for them to get well.
Yes.
They better. They lost to Syracuse last year, though.
At the very end of the season, in November.
Mm-hmm. That one was at Syracuse, of course, though. This one in Miami this year. 4 o'clock SEC Network, Auburn at Vanderbilt.
This is an interesting game because Auburn's head coach just got fired, Hugh Freeze.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of fire is Auburn going to be playing with?
Well, they got to go on the road. Not that Nashville, that's a smaller SEC venue.
Yes.
So it's not particularly intimidating for SEC teams to go into 100,000 seat
right.
stadiums, with regularity. But this is a tough spot for Vanderbilt because they now have to win out to make the playoffs. That's been their dream, and you can't relax in the SEC.
No, not 1 week. So I actually have Vanderbilt on a slight upset alert here.
Yeah. And look, when we've seen it already this season, there are examples of we had in the group of 5 where Memphis got beat by UAB.
Yes.
In a with a brand new coach. A new coach can bring something unexpected.
That's right.
You can't prepare quite as well as you might have been able to with the old coach.
That's right.
All right.
Just ask you UCLA.
4:30 Big Ten Network, Washington at Wisconsin.
All right, interesting game there. Washington travels to Wisconsin, so definitely want to watch that one.
Yeah, although Wisconsin's been terrible. They still have their coach. But
but he's on real thin ice there, or the hot seat, whatever temperature phrase you like to use there.
Might be both at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
7 o'clock ESPN, Wake Forest at Virginia.
Florida State blew out Wake Forest last week, but Wake Forest is one of those persnickety teams. They win games they shouldn't win. They lose games they shouldn't lose. So I also have Virginia on an upset alert this week.
Well, Virginia's playing at home, and Wake Forest was outclassed by a team that Virginia beat.
Yes, but barely beat.
And I think Virginia, as upset as Wake Forest should be after getting drilled by Florida State, Virginia should be upset about their ranking in the college football playoffs. Hey, they're the top ACC team, but you have them outside the top 12. How's that fair? Virginia must be saying to itself. So I expect Virginia to take care of business.
Okay.
We shall see, though. We shall see.
We'll find out.
Okay. ACC also at 7 o'clock, ESPN2, Cal at Louisville.
I don't think Louisville will have a problem with Cal.
All right. You never know. But
speaking of the ACC, I'd like to talk about a game between 2 unranked teams in the ACC.
Yeah.
7:30 ACC Network, Florida State versus Clemson. Florida State is at Clemson. These are 2 perennial blue blood ACC teams, and so either Florida State or Clemson or both have played for the ACC championship 13 times out of the last 14 years. We know that's not going to happen this year. So this is kind of a sad game to watch. Of course, I'll be watching it because I don't like Clemson anyway, but I want Florida State to win. But this game could really go either way. They're both bad.
I think it's important because who has a leg up on getting back up off the mat? Look, the blue blood has drained from the face of both of those programs.
Yes.
Who has a leg up? And I look, both programs have the opportunity to bounce back in this transfer portal world. You can bounce back rather quickly. I think it's important for both schools to try and establish, which one is ahead of the other. It's still important to be ahead of Florida
Yes.
State if you're Clemson, and Clemson if you're Florida State.
Correct. So I think it's still, regardless, it's going to be a great game. You should definitely watch it, especially those of you who are ACC fans like me.
All right, let's step out of the ACC for a moment, and this one, a traditional SEC rivalry, it's lost a little bit of its luster because LSU and its coaching changed. LSU at Alabama, 7:30 ABC.
Now, this one is interesting because I had this one kind of circled. I think we both did preseason that this was going to be a marquee matchup. But I agree, it's lost some luster.
Yeah. Well,
how's LSU going to look?
And going on the road at Alabama, of course, interim coach situation, so a little surprise could be in store for Alabama, but you would think that Alabama will be prepared for it.
Yes.
And
they're in Tuscaloosa. Everybody knows, especially you, how tough it is to play in Tuscaloosa.
Absolutely. Look, it's an LSU Alabama game, which is always intriguing, but not quite the kind of level of this rivalry that we've seen in the past.
Correct. I'd be very surprised if LSU upset Alabama.
7:30 NBC, Navy at Notre Dame.
Again, this was a game we were talking about a couple weeks ago, but since Navy had that embarrassing loss, not so much anymore. But
Well,
Navy could still surprise.
Navy, look, I think they took their eye off the ball.
Yes.
Lost to North Texas, but knew that Notre Dame was looming. Chance to redeem themselves. Hey,
of course.
Here's the thing: if Navy goes to Notre Dame, this is, like we said, a very mediocre group of five bunch. They could be that group of five team heading to the playoffs if they can go into Notre Dame and pull the stunner.
If they pull the stunner, I believe they will 100% be ranked in the playoff rankings in the top 25 next week.
Yeah, so that could be, this could be in many ways sort of a play-in game because Notre Dame can't make the playoffs if they lose this one.
Exactly.
And Navy can't make the playoffs if they lose this one either, but both of them could if they win.
Yes.
So,
we got a great slate of games coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, we do. So, listen, if you like what you've heard, subscribe.
Hit the button.
Yeah, and also comment, like, do those things.
Tell us what you think of our interpretation of the ratings, or what teams do you think are overrated, underrated, or properly rated in the first release of the college football playoff rankings.
Or what game you have circled on this week's schedule. Let us know.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week. Married to Saturdays.
Bye-bye.